Well, that is a fun tune. Oh, I love it. And that tune has nothing to do whatsoever with this unboxing other than I felt like that style of music. I just did. It's got kind of a Mexican Latino type. I love it. Yes, I was dancing behind the camera, no doubt. Yeah, especially with those cool kaleidoscope type lights going on. Even Mr. Bean can't contain himself right now. He's still dancing and the music stopped. But this particular setup that I have right now is just kind of a fun setup. I just wanted to set up this little house and Mr. Bean, Herr Obermeister, Mr. Bean's machine and all that kind of stuff. The unboxing is actually a follow-up unboxing of sorts, because you remember that we just recently unboxed a machine sent from the great state of Tennessee from Donna Maloney. Donna sent us a beautiful 1906 Singer Model 27, and it's going to receive the full spa treatment here. I mean, it's going to receive a full restoration from paint to decals to clear coat to stripping and mitigating rust to re-chroming parts. It's going to be a museum quality piece by the time we get done. Very much like the piece that also was sent from the great state of Tennessee many months ago. Remember Brad Stuman's? His was a Model 66, if I remember correctly, a red eye, but his also needed the full spa treatment. And he now has that centered in, I believe he said he has it in his foyer, whereas they do a lot of entertaining down there, as they have guests come in for different parties and occasions. That Model 66 that I did a full restoration of for him down in Tennessee is sitting centerpiece right in the foyer. So as people come in, it's right where their eyes fix right away. It's just a museum. Well, you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, go to the Facebook business page. It's right, the very first post that you see pinned to the top of the page, so that everybody can see that incredible restoration that I did for Brad down in Tennessee. Now we're going to be doing another fabulous museum quality restoration for Donna Maloney for her 1906 Model 27 that she just sent to the workshop. Well, I said this is kind of a follow-up because this is now the second machine that we're going to be unboxing now, also sent from Donna down in Tennessee. And so that's what we're going to be discovering today. And I'm going to give you some good clues on it once I get Mr. Bean and Herr Obermeister to a safe place and put our cool house back in place as well. This house is actually a replica of a house that I believe is out in Williamsburg, Virginia, that they originally made candles in. It's actually a beautiful structure that they made candles in. So if you look in the window, you can actually see, why don't we do that real quick before I move the house. If you look in the window, you can actually see them making the candles, which is super duper cool, I think. You might be able to see them making the candles. Yeah, it's offset a little bit, but the candles are going into that big kettle that's over a fire, and then the person that's doing the candle making is, you can see them in the other window there just off to the right. But I just love that house, and I just decided to make it a part of the opening for this premiere unboxing today for Donna's second machine that's coming to the workshop. I'll lock that in place before I end up bumping it. Well, guys, thanks for being in the scene. I'm going to put you back over by your fireplace because I know you love that thing. It does get cool down here in the workshop. And if you've been watching my premieres faithfully, I recently showed you the boys. I think it said something in the caption was like dreaming of a white Christmas. And the boys are near their fireplace on the workbench there. And it's kind of concealed behind Donna's box right now, which is fine. But before we jump into this, and before I put on any more music, let me give you some good, solid clues to work with, okay? So you can try to guess what this second machine is that Donna sent from the great state of Tennessee. Okay. I'm just reading my notes to make sure I get it right. Okay, the manufacturer of this particular machine first appeared in 1913 and then dropped off the radar in 1919. So they were only around for what, about 6 years, and then they're just gone. Then they resurfaced again in 1934 up until World War II, as you might remember from me mentioning it in other premieres. When World War II came about, a lot of the operations that were making sewing machines ceased, and they stepped in making arms and munitions and other things like that to help the war effort. Also, a lot of the materials that these manufacturers needed were scooped up by the government, and there just weren't any resources for sewing machine companies to continue anyway. So they kind of fell in line and helped the war effort and did their thing for their country. Now this same company that we're talking about, that again appeared 1913, disappeared 1919, reappeared 1934 up until the World War II effort kicked into gear, they eventually had been in a contract with the White Sewing Machine Company. And in 1958, they terminated that contract with the White Sewing Machine Company. They were kind of partnering on projects, very much like, what was one of their projects that they kind of tag-teamed on a little bit? It would have been the Kenmore/White rotary machine that came out in the 1930s. So that was really the only thing that they really worked a lot on together, was the what eventually was named the White Rotary, but Kenmore had a hand in that as well back in the 1930s. So they finally end their contract with White. They've been working together for a number of decades. And then this company that made the machine that is in the box that Donna just sent to the workshop right after that really cool 1906 Model 27 that we just unboxed before. This company then, like a number of other companies, then decided to push their brand to be made in the beautiful country of Japan. What do you think of that? Those are some awesome clues, people! Holy mackerel, give away the store, Scott! Take us by the hand and walk us down the aisle to the land of promise. You got a lot of clues there, folks. So if you want to toss out any early guesses, not necessarily about the model that this machine might be, but if you want to type in the chat some guesses as to what the maker, the manufacturer of this machine might in fact be, go for it. Go for it right now. Come on. Be bold. Step out of the shadows. Whether you're in another country, whether you're in the U.S., whether you're working on your iPad, whether you're working on your Android, whether you're typing on your computer, wherever you are. You might be riding in a subway right now. We've had a couple folks that actually watch these premieres while they're commuting, which, how cool is that? Everyone else is probably gathering around saying, who is that goofball that talks to the Mr. Bean bobblehead? That would be me. Proudly, yeah, because he talks back too, if you listen. It's like going into the forest and listening for the voices of the trees. And if you think that that sounds nutty, a lot of folks do it as the wind is blowing through the trees. As a matter of fact, when I took you on that autumn walk in those woods that one time, you could hear the wind blowing through the trees. And if you listen long enough, it sounds almost like the voices of the wind kind of going through the trees. Any rate, whatever. But the point is, we got a lot of fun here in the playroom/workshop. Yes, we do. And as long as I'm in charge, it's going to continue that way. All right, what do we have next? That first one, if you're curious, was called Fiesta de la Vida. Any of you that speak Spanish, type in the chat what Fiesta de la Vida means. De la Vida. It's D-E space L-A space V-I-D-A. And the first part is fiesta. I won't even try spelling that. I mean, I could, but I won't. Okay, how about if we do another one now? And this one, all these are supposedly under holidays, so I don't know what that Fiesta de la Vida is for. Maybe it's some sort of a special Spanish holiday. It's possible. But this next one is called Emerald Seas, like sailing on the seas. Oh, I'm liking this. Mr. Bean is totally fussing right now that he's not out there doing his thing again. Yeah, baby, yeah. Come on, y'all, doo-wop with me or something. Hey, did y'all see that incredible post just recently by Bill about being a backup singer with a famous singer by the name of Andy Williams? If y'all didn't see that, even if you don't do Facebook, doggone it, you got to check it out. It is amazing. And I thought about that just as I was doing my week attempt of a little bit of backup to this song. I thought about Bill up on stage with Andy Williams doing his thing. Oh, that's cool. That is so cool. And that kind of stuff, from things that Hansa shared, I share, Bill shares, and eventually Sonny will share, that's all the stuff you miss. That's all the stuff you miss by, throwing the baby out with the bathwater with Facebook. Get a discreet account, block it so no one can friend you, no one can talk to you, not even your family. And check those things out. Seriously. That was fun. That was a fun one. So that one again was called Emerald Seas. Emerald Seas. What else do we have? Yeah, we got Home for the Holidays. Oh, I got to try this one out. This one is called Dude. Dude, like what's up, dude? All right, let's start this unboxing. And with all those incredible clues that I gave you, all those incredible clues, see if you can at least guess the manufacturer of this machine, okay? All right, let's get going here. Let's get busy. Let's get busy. Yes, I'm feeling rhythm today. Yes, I am. Donna, I have a peanut allergy. Donna, I have a peanut allergy. Set the alarms off. All right. Get over it, Scott. Come on. It's only peanuts. That was a fun song, wasn't it? And I did have some rhythm going there, didn't I? Yeah. I think that eventually, and I'm not trying to make anybody nervous, because I know you love being a part of this classroom and a part of this playroom, but someday I'm going to hang up my shingle and the lights are going to go off for the final time in the workshop. They're going to go off for the final time in the workshop. And then you're going to be stuck with all those boring people out there that talk about sewing machines, but they don't have nearly as much fun as we do. They don't have nearly as much fun. And I think then I'm going to get together with Hans and Bill, and we're going to put together a band. Does anybody want to join our band? If you want to be a part of a band with Hans, Bill, and myself, then type in the chat, I'm going to join, or sign me up, or something fun like that, or I'm in. You know, anything along those lines at all, I think would be super duper 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 cool. And you know what I just learned the other day? I was watching a PBS special. They were trying to raise money. And in the past, I've actually, with some of my other companies that I've had, I've actually been involved with some of their fundraisers and actually went to Madison and did a little thing on the TV, the big screen and all that. And it was kind of cool. But anyway, I learned through that PBS special as they were fundraising that the only big, huge band that ever came out of the beautiful country of Sweden, which is the birthplace of our Swedish beauties, the only band that ever came out of that incredible country of Sweden that like hit the national charts and just went blah, crazy, was a group called ABBA. Has anyone ever heard of ABBA before? They've got such a unique style of music. It's fabulous. I mean, if you like just peppy music and fun music and music with incredible harmonics and just fabulous. And this was actually by, I'm trying to remember, two couples, husband and wife, that ended up putting this group together. They both eventually got divorced, but hey, that's another story. But they did incredible music, and they had a lot of trouble getting started. So if you ever want to look up an interesting story about, you know, as you face your own challenges in life and you face difficulties and you're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to accomplish this. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to overcome this obstacle. Read the story of ABBA and all the obstacles that they had to overcome before they finally achieved fame. It's just crazy. It's crazy. Totally crazy. Okay, a little bit more music and let's continue with this unboxing. And you can see a little bit of this machine kind of sticking out already. So you may be throwing some guesses out there already, I don't know. Okay, so that was called Dude. Now we're going to do Fusion of Dahul. Fusion of Dahul. I think I'm pronouncing that last part right. It's D-O-H-O-L. Dahul, or Dahul, Dahul, something like that. Here we go. I like this. It's kind of a cinematic sound, isn't it? Oh yeah, they tricked me. They tricked me on that one. I was waiting to see what they were going to do. I've never heard this before. Those tricky guys, or gals, or people. All right, let's pull this case out. sure that I don't have anything in the bottom of the box that I need to be concerned about. No, just more packing peanuts. So this, I don't know if Donna, again, had somebody pack it. Great use of peanuts. You know, they afford a lot of protection, they really do. But again, my recommendation, if you have a plastic case like this, go ahead and dance. No, what I was going to say is go ahead and stretch wrap the case so that it's secure, and then create a cocoon of bubble wrap around it as well. This is really a cool looking case. How they have, you know, this kind of the plastic cover embossed with what look like clusters of roses. Do they look like roses to you as well? So it really is kind of a unique case, and I think that we would probably want to protect it. I would think so. So any guesses yet with all the clues that I gave you? And if you joined this premiere late, let me give you the clues one more time so that you've got them, okay? So the clues are: the company that manufactured this machine that's in this super cool rose clustered type case. And I'll zoom in a little bit, you'll see kind of what I'm talking about. So the company that manufactured the machine that's in this rose clustered case first appeared in 1913. Then they dropped off the radar in 1919. So they're only on the scene for 6 years. Then they reappear again in 1934 up until the World War II effort kicks in. And then, like a lot of the manufacturers, they shut down making sewing machines, and many of them kick into gear, and they're helping with munitions and weapons and other things like that they might be able to retool their operation for to help the war effort. And then finally, in 1958, after having a partnership with the White Sewing Machine Company for decades, they end up terminating the contract with the White Sewing Machine Company. And they step out then and push their brand to be made in the beautiful country of Japan. So that's a quick skinny, if you will, on who made this machine in this case. And I'm not going to give anything more than that. Well, I'll give you one more little tidbit like I gave you before, and that is that back in the 1930s, the company that made this machine was still working in concert with the White Sewing Machine Company, and they collectively produced the White Rotary machine series that was incredibly popular in the 1930s. And a major distributor of that particular product happened to be, and I didn't mention this before, happened to be Sears and Roebuck. Made a major distribution outlet for the collaborative effort between this manufacturer and the White Sewing Machine Company that produced the rotary products. I think that's a lot, don't you? I think that gives you a lot to chew on. A lot to chew on. A lot to chew on. We're chewing over here. So let's do this. Let's zoom out on this a little bit. And we'll put on a little bit more music, and then we will pull the cover off on this and see if we can figure out what the heck is this thing. That was my pocket. Okay. What the heck is this thing? So the next one I'm going to put on, the last one was called Fusion of the Hull. The next one is called Jowl Edge of Water. Jowl Edge of Water. Man, they're putting all kinds of dance music on. Mr. Bean is totally freaking out back there. Freaking out, baby, freaking out. And I have no idea if I have it facing the right way either. It's a tricky case to open here. Ooh, it's real tricky. This is going to be a tricky one. This is going to be a tricky case. Come on, release, release, relent, recoil. No, I'm not smarter than a 5th grader. Come on there, buddy. Donna sent this just to mess with me. Donna, you're so mean. There should be two releases. I've already released those. Push these in. And that should separate now. Come on, you silly thing. All right, we're going to try this again. Then we're going to go to some sort of plastic explosives or something. We're going to have to go to plastic explosives any second now here, Donna. You better give me the secret. All right, we got one side released. Good gravy, Eloady. I'm exhausted. I think I need a break. Mr. Bean, come in here. Take over. Woo! Right at the end of the music there, too. Holy mackerel. That was exhausting. Those little catches on there were kind of catching. Maybe that's why they call them catches, huh? Maybe that's why they call them catches. All right, let's see what we have here. Probably shouldn't have latched that. I'll probably never get that sucker open again. Never again! Okay, so you probably can see what we have on the table now. And I actually have a model similar to this that I have in my personal collection. I had 2 of them at one time, and one of them went out to California to a gentleman that repairs sails for sailboats, and he wanted to have a small unit that was really strong on his sailboat so he could buzz around to other people with sailboats that had issues and repair the sails right there on the ocean. How fascinating is that? Because even though this is a 3/4 size machine, it's almost on the verge of becoming a half size machine. If you look at the overall length of it, it's teeny tiny. But when you look at this machine, you think, okay, is it kind of like a featherweight machine, a 0.4 amp motor? No. This little machine has a huge motor built into it. If it's similar to mine, mine's going to be a little bit different. Remember, Kenmore comes out with like a billion different models, all that start with like 158. I'm just kind of looking to see if I can cheat and look at the data plate real quick. Yeah. So yeah, it's a similar motor as on mine. It's similar. Also, mine has this cool little built-in storage unit as well. Whoop, there's a little fluff there. Has this built-in little storage unit for attachments and stuff with it as well, which is pretty fascinating. And this is a foot controller for this unit. Kind of looks like a clam style foot controller. I'm still not showing you the name yet, because if you didn't type it in the chat yet, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. What I'm going to try to do is climb over all of this packing material and see if I can grab mine and just show you how similar they are. Where is mine? Alright, this poor little guy's gotten real dusty. There we go. So I'm going to move Donna's a little bit to the right. Had to think backwards there for a second. And I'm going to set mine right here, and you can see how similar they are. Well, you can see that the branding is a little bit different on these machines too, even though they share a lot of commonality. Even though they share a lot of commonality, they have different branding, and it tells you that they came out in slightly different time periods. I can tell you that Donna's came out probably, well, right in the 1970s, around the mid-1970s time frame. And mine on the left, that's from my personal collection, came out a little bit earlier than that. Right around, late 1960s, in that time frame. Yeah, late 1960s, really early 1970s possibly. The other thing you'll notice about these two machines, even though they're very, very similar in many respects, even their overall dimensions and their body size, same balance type wheels, some of the same controls, here, same controls here, similar bobbin winding system, a little bit different here, and similar controls up here on top as well. So the features and the design layout of these machines has a lot of common ground, And like I said, mine on the left came out a little bit earlier than Donna's, just a little bit earlier. And you'll notice mine has the same cool little compartment for storing stuff. I haven't looked at this one in like a million years. I'm trying to remember how you access it. And it's even harder to access it when you have a foot controller on top. Oh, that's right. Yeah, this pops up, and then this pops out, like so. And that kind of gives you access to the goodie box here, where you can have all of your goodies tucked away in there. It's always one of those tricky things. Okay, it's a puzzle piece. Which way do I put it to close it again? So yeah, there's the... Now that I figured it out again, because I haven't looked at this machine probably in over 10 years. But this little thing, you push it up and then you just pull out your accessory box. Plus then you can access the bobbin case and replace your bobbin, rewind a bobbin if you need to. Donna's is going to be set up the same way right here. You push this and then the accessory box kind of rotates out. See that? And that's where all of Donna's goodies are in there. Inside of there. The only trick is you have to remember to put it in sideways, otherwise you can't get that sucker closed again. And you'll notice also that the upper tension system is different on these two models. Donna's model over here has kind of that internal upper tension where you have to thread it through here, and then you're going to maintain your tension. It's kind of enclosed. It's built into the body of the machine. On my model over here, you've got a traditional upper tension control mounted right on the front of the machine. So a lot of common ground, even the same style needle plates as well on these two machines. Presser foot pressure is going to be a little bit different. Mine's going to have a quick release over here, and Donna's is going to be probably inside of the faceplate area, although I haven't goofed around with that yet, so it's hard to say, but that's That's in all likelihood where it's going to be put on this particular model. So, if you haven't guessed by now, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. And I'm going to give you the answer as far as Donna's machine. Donna's machine, again, would have come out in the 70s, somewhere in that time frame. Early to mid 70s. And it is going to be, I'll give you the official number that this maker would describe it as. It's going to be a 158.1050. So it's going to be a model 1050. Mine on the left is going to be a model 1040. The official number would be 158.10400. They always put a 0 on the end, so probably technically Donna's would be a 158.10500, something like that. Kenmore had a lot of fun with numbers. I've talked about that in other premieres. They just have. They just have. But again, the motors are going to be virtually identical on these two machines. They're both going to come with a 1 amp motor. Now, a 1 amp motor is huge for a small machine like this. That's going to be, you know, probably right around, most people would describe it as 3/4 size. I would lean almost towards it's between 3/4 and half size. It's that teeny tiny. But when you pack quality engineering as they did into both of these machines, and you connect it to a 1 amp motor, you can sew stuff on these little machines that will just make people's heads spin. Seriously, it's going to make their heads spin big time. And that's why the one customer that I supplied a machine almost identical to these to him out in California, because he repairs sails, and he goes around on a sailboat and basically finds people, kind of like an ambulance chaser, I guess, finds people that are in distressful situations where their sails have torn or something like that, and they're trying to putt back in to the harbor using that little motor that you see on a lot of sailboats. It's like it's real small. And he'll go out there and say, hey, you know, I repair sails. Can I help you out? Yes, please. You know, at that point, and he's got like a remote way of scanning credit cards and stuff. Someone's stuck out there, and they're basically just puttering back in with their little tiny motor. Let's just say that he makes a good income, because they are ready to have that sail raised on the mast again and be able to use it on the mast instead of it being pulled down and being in disrepair. So he made a real good income with that little machine, I have no doubt. But these are fabulous machines, and I'll just point out that mine on the left is branded the same as the one on the right, but you'll notice that the branding looks different. This earlier model has Sears Kenmore, and so does Donna's, but the branding look of it is different. I'll kind of zoom in on that so you can see that more closely. So this again is the model 1050. That's what the branding looks like there. And now you move over to the earlier model that came out a little bit earlier than Donna's. And that's how they decided to do the branding on this one. And I think they stuck with this style of branding, especially the Sears branding as you see it, for the bulk of the time that Sears was operating as a major contender. But both of the branding marks I think are fabulous, and both of these machines are fabulous as well. Like I said, they are mighty mites when it comes to their strength. If you can imagine, and I've talked before about the generic version of the Singer 9999K, which is what? Y'all know this. What is the generic version of the Singer 9999K? Type it in the chat, would you? I'm going to give you only about 30 seconds while I pick out some more music. So the last one was called Jail Edge of Water. And this next one is called Reggae Dance of Music. I hear you, Mr. Bean. I hear you. He's kind of holding himself back a little bit today. Look at that. All right, I'm going to help you out, Mr. Bean. Your battery is running low, my friend. Okay, the machine that I was trying to get you to name, and I'll put Mr. Bean back so he's safe. The machine I was trying to get you to name, the generic version of the 9999K, is none other than the 192K, aka the Spartan. Why do I bring up the Spartan in relation to these two machines that if I change the camera angle you'll actually be able to see? Because the Spartan comes with what? A 0.8 amp motor, 0.80. These machines have 0.2 of an amp more than the Spartan, and I talk about how muscular the Spartan is all the time. It's got a bigger motor. The Spartan has a bigger motor than the Singer 201-2, bigger than the 1591, bigger than a lot of machines. And yet these little machines right here that are equally as compact, even more so, have 0.2 of an amp more. And you might say, okay, what's the big deal about 0.2 of an amp? Hello? The big deal is that's like half a featherweight. That's like taking a Spartan plus 50% of the power of featherweight to equal either one of these machines that has a has a 1 amp motor. Both of these machines have a 1 amp motor, so they are going to be more than 2 times the power of a Singer featherweight, and they're going to be more powerful than half of a featherweight and a Spartan combined. I mean, that's saying something. That's saying something that Kenmore / Sears decided that they wanted to produce a machine that was as compact as the Singer featherweight, nearly as light. These are super light. I'd be curious how much they are. We probably should weigh them on a curiosity, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we do that? Yes. I'm glad you suggested that. I'm glad you said, Scott, why don't we weigh them? You guys are so smart. You guys are so doggone smart. All right, let me make sure, first of all, we have a scale that's calibrated. Yes, it is. All right. So I'm going to put my Sears Kenmore model 1040, the model that preceded Donna's, on the scale, and let's see how heavy it is. Let's come off the tripod and go over and look at that scale. And remember, we have all the goodies inside of here and everything, many of which are metal. So, but we're looking at a machine that comes in at only I would say right around 18.5 pounds. It's less than 19, it's definitely less than 20. It's a little bit more than 18, right around 18.5 pounds. 18, yeah, I would, if you want to round it down, you'd say 18 pounds. If you want to round it up, you'd say about 18.5. It's actually, I mean, it's right in between there, right around 18.5 pounds. That's light, folks. That's super light compared to most of our vintage machines that will come in right around, 30 pounds, between 30 to 40 pounds. And if you want to kind of look around my machine just out of curiosity, then we're going to focus on Donna's model 1050. You can see it's just a real simple, straightforward machine to operate. Plus you can get into the faceplate if you need to as well. Donna's faceplate opens in a similar manner, so we can look in there if we wanted to. And listen to this, this is all metal. That's all metal, folks. Got a look at the back here as well. And again, both of these machines are going to be free arm machines as well, which is another nice advantage. It's going to have a free arm capacity, plus, check this out, a little extension bed that can fold up, and Donna's is exactly the same way, or you can fold it back down if you want to as well. You might be able to fold it back down. Don't bet the farm on it. It only folds up once and then you're stuck with it forever. And I'm trying to do this one-handed, so... Ah, jeez. I always set myself up for these crazy things, don't I? Alright, I'm just going to leave it up for right now. I'm not going to try to take it down one-handed. But they even decided, almost as if to thumb their noses at the Singer Featherweight, they even decided to add this little extension bed that can fold up and fold down as an added workspace. Again, the harp space is going to be from the center of the needle to the pillar, the bed to the top of the arm. That's going to be your harp space front to back as well, obviously as well. But a lot of really cool things that they built into both this model 1040 that we're looking at right now, and then also Donna's model 1050. So neat stuff, really neat stuff. Okay, so you're probably saying, okay, all right, we know that your machine, Scott, weighs right around 18 and a half pounds. Definitely not a heavy machine. So let's put Donna's machine on there and see if it's going to weigh the same. And I've got to make sure I get all the packing peanuts off to make this fair. All right. So now we've got Donna's machine up on the scale. And it's going to be just a little bit heavier. It's going to be just a little bit heavier. But still quite light by the standards of vintage. I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure. You can kind of see where it's falling. So this is going to be almost dead on 20 pounds for this model 1050. So they added some extra stuff to the model 1050 that make it 2 pounds heavier than the model 1040 right behind it. So 20 pounds, right around 18.5 pounds. So between 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds difference. Nothing drastic, nothing dramatic, like, whoa, what's the big difference? So I think that's kind of neat that you've got the advantage of portability between both of these machines. And again, this faceplate is going to open on here just like on the model 1040 behind it. And it also has that really cool thumb their nose at the Featherweight little extension bed that pops up as well, just like the model 1040 behind it. So the 1040 and the 1050, you can kind of look at them almost from this angle. It's kind of cool too. You can see that part of that extra weight, the 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds, look at the profile, and yes, it's up on a scale, duh, but the profile of the 1050 that belongs to Donna is just a little bit taller, just slightly taller than the 1040 behind it. So the design features are a little bit different. I didn't do measurements on the harp space. The harp spaces I think are going to be fairly comparable. I think they're going to be pretty close. And you'll also notice on the inside of the pillar on both machines, some of the clues I gave you about in the 1950s where Kenmore pushed all of their production over to Japan. So that tells you right away that both of these machines were post 1954, I think is the date that I gave you. This one is also labeled made in Japan as well. So, you know, early to Donna's machine is early to mid 1970s, This one right back here is probably going to be, like I said before, 1960s time frame. We could certainly try to look it up. I didn't look it up specifically, but if anyone wants to look up Kenmore model 1040 and see specifically what year, because I know when I did a little bit of lookup on Donna's model, it says early to mid 1970s. Kenmore had kind of a little bracket thing going on, you know what I mean? So early to mid 1970s tells you that this other model would have probably come out late 1960s, and maybe it carried over into the 1970s as well, somewhere in that time frame. But both absolutely spectacular 3/4, almost half-size machines. And both of them thumbing their noses at the Featherweight by saying, yeah, 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 yeah. Plus, by the way, Mr. Featherweight, Miss Featherweight, we've got more than 2 times the power of you. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? So, Kenmore, I think, did a really, really good job with both of these models. And certainly this model 1050 that Donna sent is a great example of one of their finest products. Incredibly compact, lots of workspace for the size of the machine, and power that will blow your socks off. A 1 amp motor in a machine of this size. Remember the Singer 201-2 and the Singer 1591 that you've seen on this channel a lot. Those two machines only come with a 0.54 amp motor that peaks at 0.6. So you would have to take a Singer 201-2 and a Featherweight combined to equal the power of either one of these machines. You would have to take a Singer 1591 combined with a Featherweight to equal the power of either Donna's model 1050 or my model 1040 behind it. Does that give you an idea? I mean, that's like putting a racing transmission on a real small car with a nice meaty motor on it, and somebody pulling alongside with one of their whatever they're driving, and they look at you kind of with their nose up in the air and looking down at you, and all of a sudden the light turns green, there's no police around, and you tap, kind of like me on a foot controller, you tap that pedal, and they are history. They're looking like turning 4 shades of red because you got this tiny little machine, this little car, and you just blew away their muscle car. That's what these are. These are like little mini muscle car machines in front of you right now. The Model 1050, the Model 1040. So brilliant, brilliant design features on both of these Kenmores. And I like the coloring that they incorporated into Donna's a little bit more than the coloring on mine. Mine is almost kind of plain Jane, and then they incorporated a little bit more of this, I don't know what color you would call that. It's almost kind of a banana yellow or something like that. And any of you are really color buffs, type in the chat what color you think that is. I'll try to come from a couple different angles so you can see it. But I'm a color person. I love color. And over here you got, it's just kind of plain Jane, you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with Jane. If your name is Jane, I love you. It's not nothing against Jane. But I like when they incorporate color into machines as well. So many people, when they talk about Swedish beauties, Husqvarnas, they don't talk about the jam-free raceway. They don't talk about the slow gear. They don't talk about the auto clutch disengagement. They don't talk about any of the other incredible engineering features on those machines. What do they talk about? Oh, it's such a beautiful color. See what I mean? So, little bit of jealousy there on my part. I'm looking at Donna's, I'm looking at mine, I'm looking at Donna's, I'm looking at mine, I'm looking at Donna's, I'm looking at mine. Maybe I should repaint mine. What do you think? Should I repaint mine? In my spare time? I got none. I know, Dr. Singer. I know. Get back to work, Scott. That's all I ever hear from him. That's all I ever hear from you, Dr. Singer, is get back. And then he smiles sweetly like, I didn't say that. They all heard you. These are smart people in the classroom, okay? You can't pull one on over on them. You got that sweet little Bambi look, but you're a taskmaster, man. You are. You are. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. No, I'm not going to turn on your fireplace. It's warm enough down here right now. So, at any rate, this has been a fun unboxing. It really has been. And I'm glad that I remembered. I mean, my personal collection is over 200. So the fact that I remembered that I actually had a model similar to Donna's, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And both fabulous machines, both fabulous models. And thank goodness mine doesn't come in a Fort Knox case like this thing that I struggled with. And how the heck do you open this puppy up? What the heck? I'm going to negotiate this case away from Donna and like store my Husqvarna cams inside of there, because there's no way that anyone could get to them. Well, unless they're like really smart and they lift the bottom up and then, yeah, well, that's probably not the best plan. Let's not do that. We'll keep the cams in the safe and keep them where somebody can't get to them. Yeah. Anyway, so you can have your lid, Donna. I don't need it. It's cool. I'm liking the rose things a lot. Very, very nice. Very nice. I don't have a case like this. I don't. I don't need one. I don't need one. I don't want a case. Keep your case, Donna. Keep it. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's put on one more music piece, and then we'll kind of walk around these two machines and just see what we see. What else we got? Central Park. Some of these we've already heard these. Let's try Moving On. Moving On is the next one. Yeah, this is nice. It's a good song to wrap up with. And it only runs 2 minutes and 33 seconds, so I better do my thing quick. So we'll go from, what do they say, Age Before Beauty? Again, Donna's has that beautiful banana color thing on it. So this is the 1040 that came before Donna's model. Extension bed. This comes out so you can do like a free arm type thing going on. Access opening this door to the faceplate area. Yeah, very nice. Good job, Kenmore, good job. Extension bed, access. See that? They're almost a mirror image of each other. Kenmore said, we got something that's working with this model 1040. We're going to put some of the same design features into the 1050. Well, thanks for attending this unboxing where we could look at this incredible 1050 that Donna just sent from the great state of Tennessee, and also compare it to mine from my personal collection, the model that preceded it, the model 1040. And yes, there was a model 1030 before mine too. As a matter of fact, I think I jotted down some of the particulars about this. Let's see if I can look real quick. Okay, so yeah, there was a 1030 and a 1040. The 1040 had more stitches. They both had their tension on the outside, like my 1040. The 1030 and 1040 were very, very much the same. And then Donna's machine came on the scene, the 1050. And then when they came out with the 1060, towards the latter part of the 70s going into the 80s, it had a lot of the same design features as both of these machines, but it also was a larger frame machine. It was bigger. So they ended up thinking bigger is better, and when they went from Donna's machine to the next model, the 1060, they made that frame a little bit bigger, which I think is a disservice, quite honestly. I think it's a disservice to take a great machine like this that has adequate harp space. It's compact, it's lightweight. I mean, 20 pounds is like half the weight of most vintage machines. And huge motor, great features, easy to use. And then they got to that model 1060 and they said, well, let's make it bigger, like a muscle truck or something. Oh, come on, guys. Stick with what's winning. Stick with what's working. Make it like these. Right? All right. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning into this unboxing where we could see this second machine that Donna has entrusted to me, which I'm very grateful for. And we will hopefully be able to get these on the workbench sometime after the first of the year and begin our work on that really cool 1906 Model 27 and also this 1970s Kenmore Model 1050. Did I get that right? 1050? Yeah. Yeah. See that? I had my coffee today, folks. It really, really makes a difference. Take care, okay? And thanks again, Donna. Hello to my friends down in Tennessee. God bless.